Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible world humming all around you? Right now, there's a constant, glowing river of data flowing past and through you. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden world with a tool that lets us see every single drop of it.
All right, let's dive in. Here's our briefing for today. First, we'll explore this idea of an invisible data ocean. Then, we'll open a window into the network itself. After that, we'll break down how packet sniffing actually works, meet the so-called guardians of the network, and finally, we'll see why all this visibility is really true power. So, Section 1, the invisible data ocean. The whole point here is making the unseen seen. And that's the fundamental challenge, right? How do you even begin to look at something that's designed, by its very nature, to be completely invisible?
I mean, think about it. Every single second, billions, with a B, of these little data packets are zipping through networks all around us. It's a silent, high-speed conversation that never stops. So the big question is, what if you could actually see them? What if you could watch that conversation happen?
Well, that question leads us perfectly into Section 2. It's time to actually open a window into that invisible world. And to do that, we need to introduce what's probably the most powerful network analyzer on the planet.
And here it is. The tool is called Wireshark. Now, its official title is a Network Protocol Analyzer, which, I know, sounds super technical. But honestly, it's just a fancy way of saying it's like a microscope for your internet connection. It lets you capture, inspect, and analyze every single piece of data flowing across a network.
Okay, so why would you need a microscope that powerful? It's pretty simple, actually, because networks aren't perfect. They fail, they slow down to a crawl, and yeah, they get attacked. Wireshark is the ultimate diagnostic tool that helps the pros get to the bottom of why it's all happening.
And you might be surprised by who's using this thing. We're talking about network engineers trying to hunt down bottlenecks. We've got cybersecurity analysts looking for malicious activity. Even ethical hackers use it to test a network's defenses. It's kind of like the universal language for the people who build and protect our digital world.
So we know what it is and who uses it. Now for Section 3, how does it actually work? This is where we learn how to tune into the network's own private frequency.
This is honestly the best way to wrap your head around it. The technical term is packet sniffing, but it's really just like tuning an old radio. See, your network is broadcasting all these different stations at once. Your email, your video stream, your web browsing. Wireshark lets you tune the dial to a very specific frequency and listen only to the traffic that you care about.
And the whole process really breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, you listen. You just pick what network you want to monitor, like your Wi-Fi connection. Second, you capture. You hit a button and Wireshark starts recording every single data packet that flies by. And third, you analyze. This is where the real fun begins. You get to inspect all the details, like where a packet came from, where it's going, and what it's for.
Which brings us right to Section 4. Let's see how Wireshark is used in the real world by the guardians of the network for everything from basic troubleshooting to some really high-stakes threat hunting.
Let's look at a few examples. Got some suspicious traffic hammering your server, maybe a DDoS attack? Wireshark helps you identify those malicious patterns. Worried about weak security? It can actually show you if passwords are being sent in plain text, completely unencrypted. And what about that frustratingly slow network? It can pinpoint the exact cause, like packet loss or high latency. And it's not just for defense. Ethical hackers, the good guys, use Wireshark to think like an attacker. They use it to analyze vulnerabilities and find weaknesses in a system, legally and responsibly, of course. The whole idea is to find and fix those security holes before a real attacker can exploit them.
And all of this leads us to our final, and maybe most important section. Visibility is power. Because when you can see everything that's happening on a network, that knowledge comes with a great deal of responsibility. Look, being able to see all this network traffic is an incredible power. But we have to be super clear here. You can't just listen in on any network you want. Capturing packets without permission can have serious legal consequences. You have to use this power ethically and responsibly. Always.
And really, that's the core takeaway. This is the magic of Wireshark. It takes that chaotic, invisible storm of data and transforms it into structured, visible knowledge. Something you can actually understand and act on.
So, we'll leave you with this. You now know how to see the network. You know it's possible to peer into that invisible world and see the raw, unfiltered truth. So the only question left is, what will you master?